I never thought I'd be one of those guys who catches his wife cheating and ends up spiraling into some kind of nightmare, but here I am. My name's Jake, and my wife, Emily, and I have been together for about 6 years now. At first, everything seemed perfect. Great connection, good sex, the kind of relationship that made people jealous. But about 6 months ago, I started noticing little things that didn't add up. Emily's phone going silent when I walked into the room, her quick trips to the bathroom with her phone, or her suddenly being more protective of her phone than ever before. It all felt off, but I brushed it aside, convincing myself I was paranoid or maybe just overthinking things. Then, the signs got more obvious. She started canceling plans last minute, claiming work was hectic or she had a headache. She became more secretive about her whereabouts, and I could swear she was hiding something. But what really broke through the wall of denial was a little slip-up I caught her doing by accident. I was cleaning the house one weekend and decided to check her phone. I know, it's not exactly my proudest moment. But at that point I felt betrayed enough to need some answers. I found a string of messages, nothing outright explicit at first, just flirty banter, inside jokes, and some pretty obvious hints that she was hiding something. But it was a photo that really hit me hard. A selfie of her and this guy, Mike, our neighbor, with her leaning into him, both smiling like they're sharing a secret. What made it worse was that I recognized the background. It was the living room of our house. That's when I realized she'd been sneaking around with him right under my nose. I went cold. My mind was racing. How long had this been going on? Were they doing more than just mess around? My first instinct was anger, pure, white-hot rage. But then the hurt started creeping in. How could she lie to my face for so long? How could she pretend everything was fine when she was clearly cheating? It felt like the ground opened beneath me. I wanted to scream, to yell, to break something, but I just stood there staring at the damn phone, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. I kept quiet for a few days, trying to process what I'd found, but I knew I couldn't keep hiding from it. I had to confront her. The moment I decided to do it, I felt a strange mix of dread and determination. The truth had to come out. She owed me that much, even if I didn't want to hear what she'd say. I was terrified of what she might say, what kind of lies she'd spin, or how she'd try to make me doubt myself. But I also knew that I couldn't live like this anymore, pretending everything was okay when I was drowning in betrayal. So I set the stage, told her I needed to talk, and waited for the inevitable confrontation to begin. When Emily saw me sitting on the couch, her face twisted into that fake, innocent look she always wears when she's about to lie her ass off. I could see her eyes darting everywhere, trying to find an escape route. She's good at pretending, real good, like she's a queen of manipulation. I didn't waste any time. I just laid it out there, told her I knew about her messages with Mike, our neighbor, and that I had seen the photo. Her reaction? Oh, it was classic Emily. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and then started the usual bullshit about how I was overreacting, that it was just sex, and that I was being paranoid. She said, "You're imagining things, Jake. It's not what you think. You're just jealous because I won't give you what you want anymore." That was her go-to line, blame me, make me doubt myself. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I pushed harder, asking how long this had been going on, and her face started to shift. She started to get defensive, snapping back at me, saying I was crazy, that Mike meant nothing, and that she was only talking to him because I'd been ignoring her. That's when she threw in the classic, "You don't understand women" line, trying to make me feel like I was some crazy, insecure fool. But I wasn't buying her lies this time. I could see right through her. The betrayal was too fresh, too raw. I was furious, but I kept my voice steady, even when inside I felt like my world was collapsing. I asked her straight up if she had slept with him. She hesitated. Then she smirked and said, "Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. It's none of your business." That's when I lost it. The rage boiled over. How could she be so callous, so indifferent? I told her I never wanted to see her lie like that again, that I deserved the truth. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, like she was enjoying the chaos she'd caused. And that's when she said the most twisted thing. "Fine. If you want the truth, I'll tell you. Yes, I slept with Mike. It was just sex and I regret it, but honestly I don't see what the big deal is. You're not enough for me anymore, Jake. I needed something more." That hit me like a punch to the stomach. I felt numb. All the anger, all the pain, it crashed over me in one tidal wave. How could she say that? After everything we built, she just admitted it so casually, like it was some kind of game. I wanted to scream, wanted to shake her, but I just sat there, stunned. I watched her walk away, her heels clicking on the floor, her words echoing in my mind. It's just sex. Yeah, right. Just sex with someone I thought was my best friend, just sex with our neighbor, just sex that shattered everything I thought I knew about my wife. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I replayed every moment, every sign I missed, every time I ignored the little red flags. The betrayal was real, and I knew deep down nothing would be the same again. The days that followed were a blur. I'd go to work, but my mind was stuck on that confession. Emily's words played over and over in my head. She was so casual about it, like she just told me she picked up a new hobby. The anger simmered, but beneath it, there was this deep, aching sadness I couldn't shake. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how she could betray everything we'd built for a quick fling with Mike, our so-called friend and neighbor. Honestly, I felt betrayed not just by her actions, but by her entire attitude. It was like she thought I was so insignificant that she could just cheat and lie and still act like everything was fine. The worst part was not knowing what to do with the information. I wanted to confront her again, tell her she crossed a line, that I was done with her bullshit. But I also felt that sinking doubt creeping in. Was she still lying? Was this the full story? I couldn't trust her anymore, not after that lie. And to make things even more complicated, Emily started acting like everything was normal. She'd come home, cook dinner, smile like nothing happened. She'd look at me with those fake innocent eyes, asking if I was okay, like she hadn't just admitted to sleeping with our neighbor. It was one of the sickest things I'd ever seen, how she could be so indifferent to the wreckage she'd caused. One night, I decided to spy on her a little. I hid my phone in the living room, pretending to watch TV while I kept an ear out for anything suspicious. That's when I overheard her on the phone with her best friend, Lisa. She was talking in that overly sweet, sarcastic tone she always used when she was trying to cover her tracks. I caught snippets, how she was so done with Jake, that she needed something more, and that she was playing him like a damn fiddle. I couldn't believe she'd be so brazen. I felt like I was in some messed up movie waiting to wake up from this nightmare. Later that night, I finally confronted her again. I told her I knew she was still lying, that I'd overheard her talking on the phone and I wanted the truth. Her reaction: she shrugged, smirked, and said, "Oh, you're such a paranoid little boy. Calm down, Jake. I'm just talking with Lisa. You're reading into everything." It was like she was taunting me, trying to push my buttons. Honestly, at that point, I didn't even know if I was more angry or heartbroken. Maybe both. I told her I couldn't keep doing this, that I needed some space to think, and that I was done pretending everything was okay. That was the night I packed a bag and left the house, feeling like I'd just lost my mind, and maybe my wife too. Leaving the house that night was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I didn't even cry, not really. Just a numb, hollow feeling settled in my chest. I drove around for a while, trying to clear my head. But it was no use. Every thought led back to her. Emily, the woman I loved, the woman I thought loved me back. How could she betray me like this? How could she lie so easily? Did she ever love me at all, or was I just some placeholder in her life while she played her little games? I kept asking myself those questions, but I knew deep down I'd never get a real answer. The only thing I knew was that I couldn't go back that night. The next day, I decided I needed to see her again, face to face. I was angry, sure, but also desperate for closure. I wanted to hear her explain herself, if she even had an explanation that made sense. So I messaged her, telling her I wanted to meet. She agreed, weirdly cold about it, like she was already planning her next move. When she arrived at the coffee shop, she was her usual bitchy self, smirking, rolling her eyes like I was the one overreacting. I didn't hold back. I laid it all out there. Her lies, her cheating, her playing both me and Mike like pawns. I told her I knew about the affair, how I'd found out how much it hurt, and I demanded an honest answer. Her reaction: she just shrugged again like she didn't care and said, "Look, Jake, you're overreacting. It was just sex, and honestly, I don't see what the big deal is now. I'm tired of pretending to care. Maybe I was bored, maybe I wanted a little excitement. Whatever. It doesn't mean I don't love you, or at least I used to. I was stunned. How could she say that? She was so dismissive, so callous. It was like she was trying to justify her betrayal instead of feeling any remorse. I looked at her, feeling the rage boiling up again, but also the crushing sadness. I realized she wasn't going to change. She wasn't sorry. She just wanted to keep playing her twisted game. That day, I made a decision. I told her I couldn't stay, not like this, that I needed time to think about whether I could forgive her, or if I even wanted to. She rolled her eyes again, said I was overreacting, and stormed out of the place like she was the victim. And that's when I knew, no matter what I decided, my life would never be the same. I was broken, but I also knew I had to take control of my future. I couldn't keep living in this nightmare. Not with her, not with her lies. So I went home, packed some clothes, and started thinking about what comes next. Because I knew I deserved better than someone who'd cheat with our neighbor and then act like nothing happened. After I left her that day, everything truly started to hit me. It was like someone had ripped out a piece of my soul. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and every time I closed my eyes I saw her smirking, heard her dismissive words, and pictured her and Mike together. Those images haunted me. But strangely, amid all the chaos and heartbreak, I also felt this strange sense of clarity. I realized I had to face the reality I'd been denying for so long. She wasn't the woman I thought she was. The woman I married was gone, replaced by someone selfish, manipulative, and completely indifferent to the damage she'd caused. I knew I had to do something. Staying silent wouldn't fix anything. I started collecting evidence, screenshots of their messages, photos, anything I could find. I wanted proof, not just for myself but for the inevitable confrontation. I also reached out to a few close friends, people I trusted, to get some perspective. Most of them told me to leave, that I deserved someone who didn't cheat and lie. But part of me still clung to hope that maybe, just maybe, Emily would come clean with real remorse and change. Deep down, I knew that was wishful thinking. Still, I kept trying to convince myself that there might be a way out without destroying everything. One evening, I decided to confront her again, not with anger but with calm, cold clarity. I called her over to my place. When she arrived, she had that same bitchy attitude, ready to brush everything off. I looked her straight in the eyes and laid all the evidence out on the table, messages, photos, the truth I'd uncovered. Her face didn't even flicker, she just smirked and said, "You're crazy, Jake. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's just sex, remember. No big deal." I couldn't believe how she was still playing this game, acting like she hadn't just confessed to sleeping with Mike. That's when I finally saw her for who she really was, an unapologetic liar and a user. I told her I was done. Done pretending, done trusting her, done living in her twisted world. I told her I'd rather be alone than with someone who thought cheating was just a game. I gave her the chance to be honest one last time, no more lies, no more bullshit. But she just laughed, looked at me like I was stupid, and walked out, taunting me with her attitude. At that moment, I felt this strange mixture of relief and heartbreak. I knew I'd be better off without her, even if it meant starting over from scratch. I finally accepted that I'd been played, used, and discarded, a victim of her lies and manipulations. But I also knew this was the beginning of my healing journey. I had to rebuild myself, piece by piece, and learn how to trust again, if that was even possible after all this. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into trying to rebuild what was broken. No, I didn't immediately jump into another relationship. Hell, I wasn't even sure I was ready for that. Instead, I focused on myself. I started seeing a counselor, not just for the heartbreak, but to understand how I got caught up in this mess to begin with. I needed to learn to trust my instincts again, to recognize the red flags before they turned into something worse. It was painful, yes, but necessary. I realized how much I'd ignored the signs, how I'd convinced myself that her lies were just quirks or misunderstandings, instead of clear signals that something was very wrong. Looking back, I've learned some hard lessons. Trust is fragile. Once broken, it's almost impossible to fully repair. But I also learned that being betrayed doesn't mean I'm weak or that I deserved it. It means I was naive enough to believe in the best in someone who clearly didn't care about me the way I thought. I've come to terms with the fact that Emily was never the person I believed her to be. She was a master at hiding her true nature, and I was just another pawn in her game. The betrayal cut deep, but it also opened my eyes to what I need: respect, honesty, and loyalty from someone who truly cares. Now I'm slowly moving on. I don't see her, I don't hear from her. I block out the toxic memories and focus on building a new life, one where I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder or questioning myself. I don't regret loving her. No, I regret trusting her so blindly. That trust was a gift I gave her, and she threw it away like it was nothing. But I refuse to let her define me. I've learned that happiness isn't about finding the perfect partner. It's about knowing your worth and walking away from those who don't see it. So here's what I'd tell anyone out there dealing with the same pain. Don't ignore the signs. Don't justify the lies or pretend it's not a big deal. If someone cheats, they're telling you loud and clear that they don't respect you. And respect is everything. It's hard to walk away, especially when you've built a life with someone. But the alternative, staying silent, enduring the lies, damages your soul. Trust me, it's better to be alone than with someone who plays you like a game. In the end, I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned. I may be wounded, but I'm stronger now. And someday I'll find someone who truly values me for who I am, not for what they can get away with.